All right, good evening, everybody. I think we have our technical difficulties figured out, possibly, hopefully. We'll see. But anyways, we have a very special guest with us here today. We have pro boxer and number one ranked amateur or previous amateur, now pro, Darius Fulghum on the pod with us this week. So thank you for coming and joining us today.
Yep.
We're gonna kind of lead this into a kind of conversation with you. We want to kind of get your thoughts on what boxing looks like today, how you got to this point, and what your journey was like. What led you to get in the ring and box? Because it's really interesting to see the journeys of boxers. So there's a lot of different stories, but we want to
Right.
hear yours. We want to get your thoughts on everything. So I guess to start off, can you kind of give us what brought you into boxing? What intrigued you about boxing for you to want to get in the ring?
Real quick, I'm glad that you said that there are a lot of different stories, and that's something that I think about a lot because I feel like the main story a lot of people hear about boxers is, the kind of came from nothing background type story, right? And those are some of the most inspirational stories that they can tell, but I feel like that only tells like a small percentage of boxers, and I feel like boxer stories. So many different people that box that have come from different backgrounds. I've met so many different people on this journey um, that I've learned from that experienced so many different things that I have. Um, it's an amazing culture, right? But I feel like there's not enough light shed on all the positive things too, right? In boxing, it's only a lot of people that it's like, oh, I just grew up fighting my whole life, and this is all I
Yeah,
had. Right, that's the main story here, but it's a small percentage of people for real, for real. And so then that goes really, really to my story, right? I don't necessarily have that same story that you hear a lot, right? I came from a good family. I have a really, really great family, man. Love them to death. And when I started getting into boxing, first kind of thing that kind of brought me to it. Never really watched it growing up. It was never my thing. My brother played football, and that was like the main sport we watched in the house, right? I looked up to my brother big time, and so I always thought football was gonna be what I was gonna do. But at the time when I was a kid, my dad would just throw us in everything. So we played everything: baseball, to football. I wasn't a track guy. My sister ran track, but we did a little bit of everything. And I remember in like third grade or something, I was watching George Lopez, and there was this episode where they took the kid Max to go to the boxing gym, and my first time ever really seeing boxing, and I thought that was like the coolest thing ever. So I remember telling my parents, "Oh, I want to go do box," and we went to the gym, but we ended up didn't actually join, and I say this all the time. I'm glad I didn't because I didn't have the mental fortitude to box at that time. Like I wasn't strong enough mentally how I should have been, and I probably would have quit. And so
mm,
time had passed. I was still trying to find myself. Football wasn't my thing. I just wasn't passionate about it. And I got into wrestling. And wrestling was my big thing in high school, and that kind of really changed my life. Um, I got really good at that, and that was the first time like the light switched in my head where like, bro, I can really be good at something. And that was something I always like thought about growing up. Like, I just want to be great at something. I just didn't know what that something was. And so I could have wrestled in college, but it'd been a financial burden on my family and stuff. So I opted out of doing that, and I was going to school for nursing. So like
mm.
my senior year, when I finished wrestling, I was going to start MMA, and then but I started boxing. I had to learn how to strike first, right? I started boxing. I fell in love with it immediately. I was like, oh, this is it. This is what I'm gonna do. I made that decision at that moment that this is what I was gonna chase my dream at, and shoot, that was 2015. We like 8 years down the road now, and made a lot of progress since then. But we're going to new heights though.
Yeah, man, that's awesome. I mean, you mentioned MMA because I know there's a massive difference between boxing and MMA, and people like kind of casual viewers will be like, "Well, there's not that much of a difference." Can you kind of
Right.
describe like what are the differences between the two sports and like what kind of skill sets you need for each of them?
Yeah, I mean, if you really think about somebody that's Oh, I'm trying to figure out how I want to describe this. Somebody's like a general practitioner as a doctor, right? They have a general idea of a lot of different things. That was what I would
Mm-hmm.
consider an MMA fighter. And then a boxer is like a specialist, right? Like a heart surgeon or something. So
Mm.
we're very fine tuned on exactly just straight striking, right? Um, rather, what difference in MMA is besides the business, there's a lot of difference on the business side, but just on the technicality side of it, there's there is a lot of variations in the styles that MMA fighters have, because you do have a lot of different forms of martial arts kind of combined into one, and so MMA is interesting, right? But definitely is not my thing. I couldn't do the kicks and stuff. But on that note, I also will say, um, wrestling and striking is the most important things in MMA. Obviously, having um, some sort of jiu-jitsu knowledge and some sort of kick defense, but not gonna lie, opportunity came sometime in the future, I definitely will cross over. That's something I definitely would do because
Wow.
I honestly think I watched some MMA fights and I'm like, God damn, those guys. Just off the pure striking alone, like a lot of MMA guys aren't just pure strikers like that. So, and
Mm-hmm.
I have a good wrestling foundation, so that's something I would be interested in the future. I'm not gonna lie, because it was something I was really gonna do in the first place, right?
Yeah.
I have a lot to accomplish in boxing, so I mean, it's not really a thought in my mind, but
Mm-hmm.
it is something that I guess I have thought about, right?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, man, because like there is like UFC's blown up a lot because of Dana White and his promotional
Yeah,
abilities and all the big names. But I think I don't know from my perspective, boxing to me has become kind of controlled by the promoters of boxing, kind of just trying to get the big name fights out there. So, what are your thoughts on like how boxing does there need to be like a controlling body of boxing, kind of like the UFC has, do you think? Or should there be like kind of as it is with the promoters running the show?
right. Yeah, I mean, it's hard to say, right? Because I mean, if you think of the promoters in boxing, there's a couple of the top main ones, which is like Top Rank,
Hmm.
Matchroom, PBC, and Golden Boy, right? In MMA, okay, UFC is just so well branded, bro, that MMA and UFC are synonymous with one another. They're like the same thing. When you say MMA, you think UFC. When you say UFC, you just think MMA. But there are other promotional companies in MMA, right? It's
Right.
not just UFC, right? But UFC is so dominant and they have a lot more control. Where they got a lot of the top talent. They market it so well. Um, where UFC is a spot to go. Where rather than boxing, it's kind of spread out a lot.
Mm-hmm.
It's spread out pretty thin, and all these different promoters are working with different networks. And so, for example, if you were to trying to get a big fight to happen with one promotional company, they're trying to get another fight with another guy that signed another promotional company. Those two people are under two different networks. They have contracts with two different networks, and so yes, now the promoters are like where they're trying to manage a way of keeping all the money for themselves, right? Not necessarily for
Mm-hmm.
themselves, but it's hard to negotiate a contract where it makes sense on both sides, where everybody's happy. Because if I got a guy and you got a guy, we both have two different networks, and we're trying to make it happen. It can only really be on one network. So how do you really make that happen? And so that's where a lot of problems happen in boxing on getting those big fights to happen. Whereas Dana White in the UFC has complete control of that, where
Right.
they have all the big name guys, right?
Right.
And so they can make those fights happen easy, and they're keeping all the money within their network, if that makes sense. So I think that's the
Yeah.
big difference on the business side of like boxing and UFC.
Mm.
So there's a lot of different promoters, and a lot of promoters have a lot of the top talent too. So for you to get those like kind of cross fights to happen is just a little difficult.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense. So I kind of want to transition a little bit, kind of back to where your journey began, because all three
Right,
of us are from the great city of Killeen.
right, right.
so
K-Town.
so Isaiah went to Ellison, and I know you're
Turn
an
up,
Ellison
my
grad.
boy.
No, but hey, he graduated from Killeen, transfer. When did you transfer?
Yeah. It was like 2015,
Yes,
2015-ish.
something like that. So he started off as an Eagle, but you know.
That's wait, what year you graduated at Killeen?
2017.
2017. Okay. Oh, so I graduated Ellison, I think, with 2015. So I
Oh,
think
okay. So 2 years prior.
yeah, the same year.
Yeah.
So
I was so happy for a second. I just got immediately sorry to hear that, bro. I'm sorry to hear that, bro. I know it
Yeah.
probably wasn't your choice, but whatever.
so I guess my kind of question is because there's not like big names out in professional sports
Right.
from Killeen. I mean you
Tommy
have
Harris.
what's his name, Royce O'Neal coming out, Corey Jefferson, Tommy
Tommy
Harris,
Harris.
all those guys. But there's not like a huge like superstar that came out of Killeen. So like, what is like that moment where you were in the ring and you were like, okay, like this is crazy considering where we came from and where I grew up. Like this is something huge. Where was that moment?
Oh shoot, I can't even tell you when exactly that moment was. I can honestly say moments that is happier because there's still so much that I have yet to accomplish. You know what I mean? And I know my route is as far as how far I've came in my particular sport. I've gone a lot further than a lot of other people have that came from Killeen. But there's still so much more to accomplish, bro. I'm not even like scratching the surface of what I want to do yet. And so and Killeen is my home. I've been there. Grew up from 2000 to 2016. I spent most of my entire life there. So Killeen really did make me. And Killeen did play a big pivotal role. I remember right before I moved out to Houston, I met Tommy Harris at this one fight, and first we started talking and stuff, and I told him I was moving out to Houston, and surprisingly, lucky enough, he was coming out to Houston like the next weekend too. We had linked up at the U of H was playing OU, and and so he invited me out to the game with him. It was at the Texans Stadium, and so I was hanging out with him, and then he went to OU, and we had went up into the suite, and that's where I met Adrian Peterson.
That's dope.
I got really in contact with him. So it actually meeting him, and he actually helped me out on making a lot of connections and introducing me to them really helped me. I found my gym out here in Houston where I was training at for a while, and I know you want to talk about too, like the the YouTubers and stuff that are getting into boxing, right? Yeah. And Adrian Peterson was actually one of those ones that crossed over.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah,
and I remember even leading up to that, I was actually helping Adrian spar for that fight with Le'Veon. But I was saying all that to say, like, Tommy Harris did play a pivotal role for me when I moved out to Houston, and that was a big thing about just people coming from the same place, helping one another along the journey. So that was huge for me. And that's something again that I've thought about. I want to do the exact same thing for my hometown, but I know I'm not in the position yet to really be able to do that for a lot of people as well, like he did for me. But coming from Killeen and making out of that, you can make it out of Killeen, you can make it anywhere.
That's a fact. That's absolute fact.
True.
Yeah. I got a question for you, Darius. More of a personal question for you.
Yeah.
So there's plenty of sports to choose from. When kids are growing up, you can play football, soccer, baseball, basketball, pretty much anything you want, right? There's swimming, wrestling. Like a lot of kids get started at a young age. Obviously, You grew towards boxing. You loved it. But was there ever a moment in time, especially with all the fights that you've been through personally and training? I know training has to be very rigorous compared to other sports. There's not a lot of sports that can be considered, a life or death sport. You know what I'm saying? Like boxing, we've seen it time after time with professionals. And in the past, some people have had life-altering injuries happen to them. Their life's turned around, stuff like that. Do you ever step in the ring, and does that ever scare you a little bit? Like, oh man, like I don't know if this fight can like injure me bad, Or do you just try to keep the main thing, and try to maintain a positive attitude? As long as you got your technique down, you put your faith in God and see where it takes you.
Yeah. No, that's a good question, though. I mean, the one thing, there's a lot of risk in every sport that we do,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, the same risk that people develop in football, right? Somebody
Mm-hmm.
actually, that was a crazy thing because it doesn't happen as often in football. Somebody actually dying on the field, like you hear stuff about that. But we understand it's the risk that we put ourselves through, right? Well, players know the risk they put in getting themselves a concussion, having CTE, or having long-term problems later in life. Same thing as boxers do. We know the risk, um,
Mm-hmm.
but there's also a lot of reward in the sport that we do, right? Um,
Mm-hmm.
and so ultimately, to answer your question, I always keep positive attitude. I never really think about that. That thought never really ever crosses my mind, especially going into the fight. I trust the people to if something ever was getting out of hand, that I trust my corner that they make the right decision, or the ref to make the right decision. But more of what I'm getting at is I'm happy doing what I love. It's what I love to do, and
Mm-hmm.
and if someone's hopefully nothing ever happens, but if something was to happen along me chasing my dream, doing what I love to do, and so be it.
So be it. Right.
So
Right.
be it. Because I rather that than live a miserable life.
Mm-hmm.
Not doing what I want to do. Right. So
Mm-hmm.
good thing about what I'm doing is this. Like I said, it's something I love. Right. I get to constantly chase my dream every day. Um, and I could be working a stable job. I have my degree in nursing. I could go work in nursing, make good money, live a comfortable life. But that's not what I want for my life. So
Mm-hmm.
That's facts. That's facts. I kind of want to dive into your Team USA experience because I remember when were the Olympics that you were trying to get into? Was it
yeah,
29 or 2020? I
uh,
can't remember.
yes, for 2020. Yep, for Tokyo.
Okay, so what was that? What was that kind of like? What was that experience like? How many like different like trials did you have to go through? Like, I saw you were traveling across the world, kind of doing all these Olympic trials. So what was that experience like ultimately? Like, did it reward you in the end? And like, how did you feel coming out of it?
Man, it was a crazy experience because how it was supposed to go right before
Right.
COVID hit was 2019 December. We had the Olympic trials, and I won that. That didn't necessarily guarantee us on the team. So me and the person who got second, who was the runner up, we had to go basically to Colorado at the training center, and we had to still kind of compete with one another on who would get the spot. We went to Bulgaria and I went to a tournament there, and it was basically whoever did the best of the tournament got the spot. So I got the spot, and I was officially on Team USA. And then, so then what happened after that was we had to go. We were supposed to go to Argentina to. We had to do one more qualifier to get our spot, and COVID hit, and then so we're like, okay, well, what's going to happen now, right?
Mm-hmm.
They postponed it for a year, and so okay, it'll be around next year. So we're still on the team. We still got to train. Um, we still got to be able to travel and compete. And so that was one of the best experiences, though. It had its pros and had its cons. Not gonna lie, but the main pro about it was I got to really connect longer with my teammates on Team USA and really built long term relationships with them. So that was the biggest blessing out of Olympics being postponed a little bit longer because I got to spend a year, learn and be with those guys. Um, and then so the 2021 came around. We were supposed to go back to Argentina again to get our spot, and somehow I don't know really what happened, to be honest with you, but that tournament got canceled again. They were telling us it was because of logistic
Mm-hmm.
reasons. Somehow Argentina couldn't allow travel or something for all these different countries to come there. So they canceled the tournament. It was crazy that ours was the only one that got canceled. And so that was our really only way of securing our spot to get to Tokyo. So since we couldn't do that, what they did was they went by old ranking points. And so they went by ranking points from like 2019. And so sadly, me and several other people I was on the team with, we weren't on the team 2019. So we didn't have any ranking points. So we didn't get the spot, and that was the first time Team USA and I brought pros back. Because some of the people that were already turned pro, they had ranking points at the time, so they allowed them to come back, and so we actually did pretty good on the boxing side. I got a couple medals. We had like 3 silver medals, a bronze medal. So our team actually did pretty good at the Olympics, but sadly I wasn't able to go though, like I was supposed to.
Yeah, that's interesting, man. Because like COVID just hit like right when you were kind of getting out there and you
Right
were
when I
putting
was
your name
peaking,
out
bro.
there.
Right
Yeah,
when I was
That's
so
tough. That has to be tough.
right when it
yeah,
was peaking. But I've always remained positive about it. I mean, Olympics would have been huge for me. That was all I dreamed of, right? But I got more to accomplish than just the Olympics. So it's not like that was the end of the road for me, right? There's a lot more for me to do. So just got to keep moving from that point on.
yeah. When you kind of get in the ring, what's the kind of thought process? What goes through your mind? Like, do you just completely shut it off, or is it kind of like, all right, let's do this. Like, I'm gonna kick this guy's ass, like kind of deal, or is it like, what do you do to prepare for that? Your mindset going into the ring.
Well, I'll tell you my most important thing leading up to the moment is really just having peace of mind, right? I don't think people realize when they go into the ring how much and I think this probably goes for all sports, honestly. I don't think people realize how much their unconscious thought really plays a factor. When you're stressing about having to pay rent, or you're stressing about your girl doing this or that, or whatever it may be, the simplest things. I don't think people realize how much their unconscious mind thinks about that stuff in the moment. So my big thing leading up preparation wise is just having peace of mind. And that just allows me to be really calm, really relaxed. I'm not stressed about anything. And so I do spend a lot of time. So I get very precious with who I'm around, though. Like, I can't just be around anybody because some people don't know how to talk to people in moments like that. They just saying the dumbest stuff. Like, this is the one I hate the most. They be like, I've had people say this to me several times. They be like, all right, don't get knocked out now. Like, listen, right before I'm about to fight. I'm like, why would you even say that? Like,
Oh
what possesses
man.
you to say that? Thanks, bro. I try not to, but it's just like,
Right. Like, what do you want me
some
to
people,
say?
yeah, some people just be saying dumb stuff. Like, really, just in those moments, just be relaxed, And I'm really big on positive distractions. Where you're. Sometimes this was a big problem when I was in Team USA because this is what I really learned this then was we weren't really in an environment to really compete in. So what I mean by that is we had these COVID protocols we had to follow, and we was honestly not say treated like prisoners, but we were locked up in the rooms. We couldn't hang out with other people. We're kind of just isolated, and that is not a environment to succeed in. So what I mean by that is when you get really trapped alone with your thoughts can be very self-destructive. And sometimes when you get trapped alone with that, your mind just starts wondering, oh man, did you train hard enough? What if this happens? What if that happens? And then you're playing all these scenarios in your head. So that's why I'm big on healthy distractions, like on just talking whatever. You're not even really necessarily thinking about all these negative things of the fight. So that's huge for my preparation. And then honestly, going into the ring though, I don't say it sounds dark, but my main objective is to really break somebody's will. So I say that in the most I'm serious about it because a confident fighter is a dangerous fighter.
Oh yeah.
And when somebody has confidence, bro, they self belief is extremely important in boxing. That's one of the big things I learned. And somebody that really, when they start to believe in themselves, they start to really feel it. Everything starts to click, But the second you get them to start doubting themselves, now they're hesitating. Now they're like, oh shoot, wait, okay, if I throw this punch, then he's gonna hit me with. Now they're not firing how they should, right? So my main thing is to always start to break people down mentally that way, where they start to they don't believe in themselves no more. I don't want anybody to believe in themselves when they fight me. Like I
Yeah.
said, that's dangerous to me, right? So I want to try to strip away their confidence, and I got to do that early. And you can see, and this is again in every sport, is transitions. When in basketball, when somebody's getting hot and the team's getting hot, and they start firing, their confidence is building up. They're building that momentum. Call timeout. We got to shut it down. Same thing in boxing. You got to shut down. If somebody starts building confidence, you got to shut it down quick because you
Mm-hmm.
let that start to really roll, then they're gonna take off.
Mm-hmm.
So
I got a question for you.
what's up, bro?
Uh, so obviously you've had a great boxing career so far. Like you mentioned before, you got still plenty to go for the rest of your career. You know, you're trying to get to different heights, different levels. But when you first started out, obviously you probably have trainers. You trained by yourself, did what you had to do to become better and work at your craft. But is there one specific pro fighter, or pro boxer that you looked at and you said, I want to try to model my game after them when it comes to technique, striking, mindset, things like that? It doesn't even have to be a boxer, any athlete that you specifically modeled yourself after, mindset wise or technique wise.
Ooh, man. I tell you honestly, I was growing up. I'm naming a couple of people. Honestly, growing up, my brother has always been my biggest inspiration.
Mm,
Uh, what I tell you, he went and played for the league for a little while, and he still trains like he's in the NFL now. Bro's work ethic is crazy, dog. His work
yeah.
is crazy. So his work ethic, I always want to take. If I was trying to take anything from anybody, his work ethic. I always want to try to model my work ethic after him because that dude's a workhorse, and that's one of the big things I learned from him. Um, on the technical side of boxing, um, Shakur Stevenson, one of my top favorite guys. Him and Andre Ward, the dudes are just technicians, bro.
Yeah.
And
Uh-huh.
the thing that makes them so talented is the fact that, like, I don't think I understand like how scary it is when somebody's like right here in your face and you can't touch them. You can't hit him, bro. That is terrifying, and that's something he does. He excels extremely well at, and something that I've been developing in my style too, to be
Mm,
able to be right in range with somebody, and not getting hit or just moving just a little bit out of range. Um, that's something I really try to model my style after. And I got another homeboy, Marquise Taylor. His mindset, I love talking to him. I love hearing his mindset and how he just kind of attacks everything. Um, anytime hearing him talk, it always like kind of just, inspires me. So
nice.
Marquise Taylor is the guy. He's coming up in boxing. He just had a huge win on July 8th with me on Showtime. Uh, so he's another guy to really be on the lookout for. He's one of my bros.
Dope. Dope.
That's dope. Yeah, that's awesome. I so I kind of want to transition out of I kind of want to move into the general boxing arena, I
Right.
guess you could say, because celebrity boxing has kind of taken over the sport, and I'm kind of I gotta say I'm a little upset about it because we have guys like you that kind of bust their asses every single day in boxing to get where they're at. And then you have, your Jake Pauls, your KSIs, your Logan Pauls, you even mentioned Adrian Peterson, football players, basketball players getting in the ring and they're selling out seats quickly. But then
Right.
you have guys like you that have worked at the support that at the sport and have developed your craft and really
Right.
gotten to the point where you're at because of hard work. So what are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's going to help the sport or do you think it negatively impacts people like you?
So I'll tell you my honest opinion about it. So I have to also understand that boxing is an entertainment sport. It's entertainment at the end of the day. Before anything else, strictly entertainment, right? Um, and we got to give credit where credit's due on some of these people, these influencers that are coming into the sport. That even what they do is not easy, right? If that was easy, everybody do. If it was easy to have millions of followers, everybody would have millions of followers. So I always got to give respect to that where it's due. Like they did put work in to get influence like that, and that is a leverage in the sport. Anytime you're striking a deal, you got to have leverage, and the leverage in boxing is how many people can you put in seats? How many people are paying to watch you do whatever? That's the only thing that matters in any sort of business. How many people are paying to watch you, right? And so I want to say it's a lesson to learn on for us boxers, that it's not just about skill set also, but it's about marketability and how you really market yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And so I look at that, and I hate social media. I do. I'm not a big fan of social media. Way on like, okay, I need to really understand, because I really do feel like there's a science to it. I feel like some people do strike lucky with viral videos and stuff, but I do think there is a science to really increasing your brand, increasing your marketability, increasing people that are paying attention to you. And so even lately, I've been just watching all these different videos on YouTube on trying to understand marketing, or I've been watching these all accesses of I'm talking about just on the boxing side, and trying to understand what is about this character that resonates with people. What is it about this person that resonates with all these different people? So to answer your question, I'm not necessarily mad at it. I get it. I understand it's business at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not that kind of salty, petty guy to be like, man, it's not fair, this and that. Nah, I mean, they put the work into, to get those amount of followers. That's not easy. Because like I said, we would all have a lot of money if we did, right?
Yeah.
And so I got to pay respects to that. And Jake Paul is one of the things I learned about just marketing, period, on how can I word this? So I'll put it blunt. I'm actually interested in Jake Paul. So what I mean by that is, like, I want to see. He's been talking all this about, oh, he's going to take over boxing. He's going to be this and that. I want to see if he's going to do it. I'm not gonna lie. I want to see what happens. I'm here to see the ride. But what I
Yeah.
found out about that is everything about this entertainment is about storytelling, right? This is what WWE did extremely well at. WWE did extremely well at telling a story. When I used to
Oh yeah.
watch WWE as a kid, that's what I was invested in, was the storylines. They tell these
Mhm.
storylines, and I would get invested. Now I gotta wait till next week to see what happens. I gotta wait to see the next week to see what
Right.
happens, right? And that's something boxing has to do a little better on, is on the promotion side, is telling stories, right? Getting people invested to know what's going to happen. And that's why people have to wait so long for these big mega fights also. There's a big fight coming on this weekend, Crawford and Spence, right?
Mm-hmm.
And two top pound for pound guys. But everybody's like, man, these are the two best boxers, this and that, right? Now imagine if those two people fought their very first fight at the beginning of their career. Nobody would care. Nobody would care. They would have no hype towards it. The only reason why there's hype towards it is because it's been built up over so long period of time. Same thing with Floyd and Pacquiao. That it's been like teasing people. People have been teased with it. Now they're like waiting.
Right.
It's like, man, when are we gonna get it? When we finally get it, it's like, finally, I've been waiting on this, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I've been trying to really understand that side of the business and how it works, rather than just trying to be more than just like a fighter,
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Well, I know Jake Paul's fighting Nate Diaz here in a couple weeks. Actually,
Yeah.
I think up in
Yeah,
Dallas. So
August 5th.
yeah,
Well,
it's
that's
gonna be.
crazy. That's mind-boggling to me.
Y'all gonna
I
watch
mean,
y'all gonna watch the fight. I'm probably gonna watch it. I ain't gonna lie.
I
Told you I'm
think
invested, man. I want to see what happens. I'm not gonna lie.
look. That's the thing. That's the thing you were talking about. Like it's appealing because it's like, who's this guy? Like this
Who
guy
is
who's
this
just
guy?
on Disney Channel. When I was
Yeah,
a kid. Now he's in
yeah.
all tatted up in the boxing ring. Like it's like you said. It's marketing. It's all a
Yeah.
business, and
That's all it is, bro.
UFC's done it. Boxing's doing it, and
UFC does a good job with the storytelling. That's what they said when they did the what's it called, when they really got into the lives of all the fighters. They put them on the house. I forgot the thing was called.
the Ultimate Fighter.
The Ultimate Fighter. Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what really helped take UFC off, because it really got people to connect with certain fighters and really get to see a different side of them. And that's what really helped elevate the sport for them, right? And and I ain't gonna lie, I want to say one more thing about Jake Paul. The dude is just hilarious, bro. The dude is funny.
Yeah.
He was when he was fighting Tyron Woodley. This was the coldest thing I've ever heard in my life. He was fighting Tyron Woodley, and they were doing like a face-off, and what did he basically, they were going at it back and forth, right?
Mhm.
Then Jake was like, Tyrone, I want to give you a gift, bro, for you accepting this fight. I know it's kind of last second, but here, I want you to have it, right? And Tyrone Woodley opens the gift, and it's a Rolex, and his whole like demeanor changed. Like, oh, bro, thank you so much. Oh my gosh, wow, okay,
It's
right?
mental,
He was
all
all
mental.
happy, gratitude. No,
Yeah.
let me finish. Then the mediator was like, Jake, why did you give him a Rolex? And he was like, because it's time for him to get knocked the fuck out. I was like, yo, I said, bro, he spent how much money for this joke, bro? Just for him to land that punchline, bro. He spent all the money on a
He's
Rolex
good.
just to land
Yeah.
that punchline. I was like, yo, I ain't gonna lie, I was sold. And then he actually knocked him out that fight. I was like, yeah, I'm
You
sold.
did,
Yeah.
yeah.
But
I
my
was like,
thing
I'm
with
sold.
Jake though, is like, a lot of people have been clamoring for him. I mean, obviously he fought Tommy Fury, who's a real boxer, but before that, he wasn't fighting like boxers. You
Nah.
know what I'm saying? Like pure boxers. He was
Bro, he
fighting
fought
people who did
Deji.
UFC,
Yeah.
MMA. You know what I'm saying? Like he was
Yeah.
fighting just random people.
Oh
Oh
Lord.
yeah, we got a surprise
Oh
for you,
Lord.
Darius.
Oh Lord. Oh
What's going on,
Pops.
Mr. Tim?
Pops, you're looking good, man.
I married your mama.
Hey, hey, good for you. That was a good choice. That was a good choice. Hey, it's good to see you, man.
She stalked me.
Oh, she stalked you? Fine. I'm not gonna lie, I find that hard to believe.
Me too. It sounded good when I said it.
Hey,
Mr.
Pops,
Tim, I have a. Go ahead,
okay.
Darius.
I was saying we over here talking about the state of boxing, man, about these YouTubers boxing and stuff. What's your thoughts on it, man?
On YouTubers boxing?
Yeah, all these influencers boxing.
Yeah, this is gonna come off really old fashioned, but yeah, I think you got to earn it through the amateurs and work your way in, and I don't even know what the fucking influencer is, but I guess they're out there.
Hey, they all. Hey, Pops, I'm telling you, they all over, dog. They all over. Actually, Ali, I do want to say one thing about it. I'm really not interested in really any other influencer besides Jake Paul. They be having these influencer shows, pretty often. I don't really care about them. I've watched some of them, and I'm like, it's so hard to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I was pretty skeptical of Jake Paul at the beginning. I was pretty skeptical, but it seems though he's pretty passionate. I know he lost his last fight to an actual boxer. And of course, he's fighting another MMA guy, which I like this guy, the Diaz brothers. But
Nate Diaz, yeah.
Mhm.
we'll see how it goes down. I ain't gonna pay for it, but I'll be watching it.
You sound like my dad.
I'll wait for you to tell me, Darius. I ain't finna pay for it.
Hey, but listen, Pops ain't. He said he not paying for to watch nobody fight but me though.
Yeah.
I don't have back pockets like the fucking minces do.
Yeah, I know. Hey, Pops, we can only wish. We can only wish.
Let me tell you something. You ever see those jeans and you have a big pocket and you have a little bitty pocket? You know who I am.
Yeah, you little pockets compared to them.
I'm the little pocket.
Yeah, hey, Ali, they was over at my parents' house the other night. I FaceTimed them.
They were, yeah.
Yeah, and they had some money on the table. It was like some hundreds or something. And I was like, Pops, that's what he wipes his ass with.
Yeah. My ass hurts because I
Oh,
use a
God.
roll of fucking nickels. I'm gonna tell you, man, the minces, they don't fuck around, man. They're serious.
I know.
Let me tell you something.
No.
His father, you think his father's a gangster because he leans in his car? No, he leans because one pocket is fucking holding his wallet. I'm like, oh, what the fuck? Why are you leaning like that?
No, Mr. Tim, I have to ask you a question. because obviously your children are very successful. And what is it like watching Darius? Do you get scared watching him in the ring, or do you know he's going to kill him?
It's a good question.
No, I'm not scared at all. Matter of fact, it's just the opposite. I'm very confident. I'm confident because he's super confident. You have
That's
to know
good.
Darius' story. Darius' story is one of it's just crazy to me because I got to watch it all happen. Darius grew up under his brother, who's 8 years difference, and Dewan was a stud in everything he touched. And Darius was not so much. But once he got a taste of success, he got super passionate. He got so passionate about nutrition, training, and he made some crazy ass comments that me and his brother laughed at, and they all came true. So I don't doubt him anymore. You know, guy gets put on the shelf. Prairie View put him on the shelf for a whole year while he had to do his clinicals. He graduates, takes that NCLEX test the next month, and he's out in the streets. Goes to Ohio for a Olympic trials tournament. He doesn't take first or second. He's got. That tells me that you didn't get the full amount of training. Tells me that you have a very, very high ceiling. So no, the short answer is no. I don't get nervous because his confidence oozes into me and his mama.
That's true.
God dang, that was a good answer, man. I love how
That
you
was
talk.
A good answer.
I had wrote it down. I wrote that shit down. I told Oliver, give me the fucking questions in advance. So I had that shit wrote down.
That was a good answer. But Ali, remember what he said, though, and it goes back to what I say. Confident fighters dangerous, bro. They are dangerous.
Oh yeah.
And that's why I'm big on, like I said, I gotta take their will. I have to. I gotta strip away their confidence layer by layer. I don't want them believing in themselves. As soon as they start believing in themselves, hey, they start punching. I don't need that.
Oliver, I'm kind of old school too with my mentality with Darius. As far as I have my quips and my little sayings, you know. Darius has heard them all. You know, the one that's like, ooh, he's from South Korea. He's got to be good. It's a long way. He's got to be good. He's far away. The far away syndrome. Yeah, get the fuck out of here, whatever. Confidence is something, but and Darius, although may not have had a crazy amateur career, he may have had 60, 65 fights, I'm guessing. The thing with Darius' amateur fights, they're all top tier. They're all,
It's the best.
what was the thing you wanted? National Golden Glove tournaments. And then he did a lot of Olympic trials, tournaments and stuff. So although he may only have 60, 65 amateur fights, they're not against people like, Nick. No hate on Nick.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
Hey, but that reminded me of something that he brought up too. I told you I'm really big on the mindset. I think that's the most important thing in boxing, and that was something that Pops had taught me even growing up that I had to realize. I realized even more when I got older, but it was about respect, right? And I tell a lot of my people that I train with that we can't respect nobody in this sport. And so what I mean by that is, let me put it like that, you can't over-respect somebody, right? The second you over-respect somebody, you automatically put yourself beneath them, right? Every time. That's just common sense. You respect somebody too much, you already look at yourself as below them. And so I honestly don't care if somebody's a world champ. I don't care if they fought on TV. I don't care what they've done in their past. I don't care what their reputation says, if they're the hardest puncher. That was a big thing with Mike Tyson. People respected Mike Tyson too much. And what was the story you always told Pops when he got his first loss, when he had the biggest upset against Buster Douglas? That Buster Douglas didn't respect him.
Yeah.
He didn't respect him, and that's when he got beat. That's the main thing. Boxing.
And then it snowballed. Evander Holyfield whipped up on him and just snowballed from there. I don't know, but yeah, he's right, man. Darius can go fight. Darius, I know that people are listening. You know, I get it. I'm his dad, biased, whatever. But Darius could go fight right now. David, what's his name? Darius.
Benavidez.
Yeah, Dave, and I expect Darius to win.
Pop said he's betting the
Yeah.
house.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, whoa.
That's what you want, though. That's good.
Well, I don't live like the Menses now. I'll be homeless.
Mr. T, you gotta stop putting my business out there.
Some bitches live on land, bricks.
I know it.
Now, Darius, I have one more.
Hey, there's the Menses house is so fucking big. They have a driveway that's half a mile long.
Oh,
I
my
ran out
God.
of gas on the driveway.
Hey, I'd hate to be delivering mail to that house.
Our mailmen actually love us. They love coming to our house.
Darius, can you imagine taking the trash can
Oh
out?
my
into the
gosh.
That's
street?
terrible.
Just
Don't
thinking the
even get me
same
started
thing.
on that.
Who got stuck with that fucking
Oh.
door?
Might as well
You know
watch
Miss
an
Vicky
episode
ain't
of something on
doing
It's
Netflix
me-
walking down the
me
driveway.
it's me when I'm there, and then it's me when I'm there, and then my dad whenever I'm not there. So, but
Dude, Darius, taking the trash out alone will put you in shape.
That's why his calves look like that, Pops.
now, Darius,
Huh?
I was gonna say I have one more question for you. So
what's up?
I know you just finished a fight, and obviously you killed the guy because I watched it. Thank you to Mr. Tim's live stream. You killed the guy, so that was a good fight to watch.
Go ring girls.
I know you were sharpening up those ring girls. It was hilarious, but
It's all for the fans.
so I guess you're kind of in a recovery phase. What I assume. Have you been taking some time off? What does that look like post fight? Does that you kind of just take a breather, do whatever you want? How much training do you do? I guess I should ask as well.
No, I'm back. I'm back training full time and stuff. I don't really take too much time off because it's crazy. You take like a couple of days off, and then you feel like it's been months. And so I don't take too much time off, especially when I didn't really need to. I didn't take any damage that fight, and I'm trying to get back active again. So supposed to be fighting again sometime in September. So trying to get back active again. So I don't take too much time off to answer your question.
That's interesting because I know a lot of fighters it might be a little different. Considering does it depend on the fight, kind of like how much hurt you feeling or how sore you're feeling after the fight?
Yeah,
Or?
it depends. If I would say have any injuries or something like that, or even the caliber of the fight. But like I said, I'm nowhere near my prime where I should be. I still have a lot to learn in the sport, so there's no reason why I shouldn't be back in the gym. I should be back in the gym, learning, training, getting better. So
That's true.
I don't ever see that ever really changing, to be honest. Where I'm like taking months off from the. I love the sport too much to do that. Like I take too much time off. I'm like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Especially now, I'm like I haven't accomplished nothing in the sport like I want to. So if I'm taking time off, it's like I'm thinking, what am I doing? I'm wasting time.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't see that ever really changing.
Now, Isaiah, do you have any thoughts? I know, Mr. Tim, this is Isaiah. He's our co-host here.
How you doing?
Fellow Ellison Eagle part-time. He graduated from Killeen, but he started at Ellison. So,
Oliver, we're not going to hold that against him.
I held it against him a little bit. I held it against him a little bit.
A kangaroo with boxing gloves. Get out of here.
Kickboxing.
Oliver, I swear to God, the kangaroo has a lisp.
the who? The who has a lisp?
The kangaroo.
The kangaroo.
You're gonna get this. You're gonna get this thing canceled.
Oh my God.
My bad.
Oh my God. Now, Isaiah, did you have any thoughts or questions before we get close to wrapping this thing up?
Yeah, more so on a laid back side, just from both of you guys, both from Darius and Mr. Tim. What are you guys' top, you can say top 2, top 3 favorite boxing movie? Because I know there's been tons that have came out since years and years ago. What's y'all's favorite boxing movies?
Man, mine's changed a little bit. I'll go first, Pops. Pops is the big movie guy, I ain't gonna lie. But Rocky 4 has been my number one. And actually Rocky 3 is so good. I'm gonna say Rocky 3 is number 2. And I love the Rocky movie so much. They So check this out. There's a big difference for fighting movies for me. Like I've seen Rocky before I started boxing, and so a lot of the boxing movies that came out now, I started boxing, and so I see them being so unrealistic. Where I'm like, yo, the fight
Mm-hmm.
scenes are terrible. But it's crazy. I say that I have no problem with the Rocky fight scenes, and those are way worse.
Yeah.
The Rocky fight scenes are so bad. But I'm like, I'm watching the new ones. I'm like, this is terrible. This is not even good choreography. I'm like over critiquing, over analyzing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, but for some reason,
I
I
I
have no
like
problem with the Rocky movies. I'm like, oh, this is great.
I like Rocky 1 because I like how they took um, Adrian as a librarian to a hot chick. I said, yo, Adrian, pretty hot. I mean, they dressed her up at the end like, yo, Adrian's pretty hot. But Darius, you remember the scene where he goes, "Cut me, Mick.
Cut me, Mick. Cut me, Mick. Come on, just cut me.
Cut me, Mick." That was horrible.
You didn't like that one?
The razor blade with fake blood was a bit much for me.
Now the third
Oh,
one,
I'm a fan. I'm a fan of Rocky.
the third one was so good to me though, because I love how it showed him at the top of his career. He had the top, and he kind of got complacent, and he was just kind of going through the motions or whatever. And Mick was like, "What are you doing, man? You're not da da da." So he had to kind of go back to his roots and find the eye of the tiger, right? I thought that was really dope. I love how they pulled that one off.
I like the first one because, yeah, it's a lot of boxing, but it's really a love story.
No, it was.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true. So
I
no
gotta tell
love,
you,
for, no love for the
gotta
Creed
tell you.
movies.
Man, look, okay, so Krieg is coming in at probably third. So out of the three, probably which one I like the most out of them? I don't even know.
I like 1, 2, and 4. The Russian was a big dude.
Yeah, fourth one's good. Which one I like out of the? I think I'm gonna say the first one. I like the first one. I think if I had to go, probably first, third, second.
Darius,
third one was pretty good.
Third one was.
I didn't like that. I didn't like that Stallone wasn't in the third one. But
yeah,
I watched the first one so many times, even at the very end when the sleazebag brother lets Adrian through the ropes. I had to hide my face from your mama. I didn't want to lose my man card. I felt my eyes got a bit heavy.
Somebody's cutting some onions, though.
That's what I thought. Somebody busted a banquet in the room.
Oh goodness! Now I do have one more, not non-boxing related question, really dialed towards Mr. Tim and Darius. You can hop into because I know we're all big college sports fans. I know Isaiah is kind of iffy on college sports, but what teams should you be looking at that are sneaky coming up in college football, Mr. Tim?
College football. I will say this here. I've done a little reading. And USC has the best quarterback room in the country.
That's true.
They've got the Heisman Trophy winner, and they got a 5- and 4-star backing them up. And what's his face? I can't think of his name. The old guy from Oklahoma at USC
Lincoln
now
Riley.
is a quarterback. Lincoln Riley is a quarterback whisperer.
Okay, my turn.
So I say watch for USC.
My turn to ask the question then. How do you think you feel being a 4- and 5-star recruit coming up and backing up at USC? You said a Heisman winner.
Well, I mean, you know that coming in, so you knew what you were getting into. You're not going to beat the guy out. He's already got the spot. You know, it's like Deion Sanders, Colorado. He said, "Pack your Louis."
Right.
Coming in.
Right. I was just about to bring that up.
His son is the quarterback, and
Yeah.
the Travis Hunter dude is going to play both ways. So don't be disillusional. Caleb Williams is a starter, and the rest have to wait their turn.
But I guess that's what I mean is like is all right. You being a father, right? You think that's the best decision to a 4- or 5-star recruit to go back up?
That's a super tough question because I your brother, if I remember, had no stars, 0. I knew he played 6A football in Texas. I knew he had some size issues, but your brother had the biggest heart in the world, and he knew how to play. He was another thing I used to tell you, Darius, know your sport. If you're going to do something, know it. Know your sport, be involved. And Dewan couldn't read linemen. Dewan didn't run no 4.4s. He wasn't 235 pounds. He didn't have muscles in his ears, but he knew how to read linemen. He knew how to get to the ball, and he was a tackler.
Mm-hmm.
And that got him as a 4-year starter at Texas Southern, a 3-year captain, and ultimately drafted by the Detroit Lions. And almost made the team. Came close. It is what it is. And at the time, I had reservations about having to walk on at UT. But if you walk on to UT, that means I had to pay the bill. And again, I hate to resort back to Oliver Mintz, but I ain't got that kind of fucking money. I got junior college money. Oliver Mintz got fucking Yale, Pepperdine, University of Miami, Rice. That's kind of money he's got. I don't know, dude. I want you to shine like anybody wants you to shine. I probably would send him to Lincoln Riley because I think we'd have had that conversation about him backing that guy up, waiting your turn. I'll give you an example, Darius. Back in 2007, I believe it was, do you know who was backing up, who the backup quarterback was for the University of Florida?
Okay, so Tim Tebow was there?
Tim Tebow was the quarterback. Who backed him up?
Who?
I'll give you a hint. He got in trouble. Went playing some junior college ball here in Texas.
It was Cam Newton.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Cam Newton. Yep. He goes out University of Auburn and balls out, and so sometimes you gotta wait, man. Sometimes I've always had my, people have said Tim Tebow is probably the best college quarterback. I won't disagree. I thought Vince Young was the best to me. Watching him play that USC professional team, they played in the Rose Bowl. That game was amazing. Tim Tebow got 2 national championships. I get it, but I always thought Vince was the better quarterback, college quarterback.
Mm-hmm. But Pops, it's crazy. Even being I swear back up at these big schools like that. I remember seeing this when we were watching for Dewan to get drafted that year, and I'm seeing all these people that are going to these big schools, and even like the backups are getting drafted. I'm like, what?
Yeah.
But it's just
a little history. University of Alabama, before they got it down, I think 82 scholarships. I think they had like 130 scholarships back in the 70s and 80s, but they narrowed it down to 82. And you'd have 10 running backs on University of Alabama's team all could play in the NFL.
That's crazy.
Same with LSU. LSU got backs after backs. They're back up to the backups are in the league.
Yeah. And I also wonder what has changed now with the with players getting paid now, if it is still a better decision to go to these big schools too.
Yeah. I don't have a big opinion on.
I don't know how much the backups is getting paid though. I don't know. I guess that's a decision you have to figure out.
Look at Texas A&M. They paid every 5-star recruit $1 million last year, and they ended up 5-7. So, I mean,
and
I
Nick Saban winning.
Oh yeah, he went in on A&M. Yeah.
Oh,
he did. He went in. Nick was not happy.
Yeah. So I don't know. It's kind of weird looking at the pay to play kind of thing. I would even argue they're not professionals. Like 90% of those guys aren't making it to the NFL. So it's kind of a weird thing. But I think it's only going to make the big schools bigger, and you're going to get. I will kind of counter what you were
saying. I think the rich get richer now.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And I think the point, I guess the counter to what you were talking about with backing up USC, I think the counter to that is you get to back up Caleb Williams and you get to learn from Caleb Williams for a year.
You're in that quarterback room. You're in that quarterback room learning his habits and how to study and how to practice. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. So as a parent, I look at that like, okay, this guy's going to be the number 1 draft pick in the NFL next year. It's only great to learn from him and Lincoln Riley at the same time.
Yeah, to make a 52-man roster, it's not easy because they only carry so many people at certain positions. They may carry 7 linebackers. They may carry 8 or 9 O linemen, 5 D linemen. They're going to carry more receivers than DBs just for the fact they need them on special teams. So
Yeah. No, I will say my sneaky teams this year in college football are Tennessee and Penn State. Watch out for those two.
Tennessee's in a world of trouble, dog. World of trouble right now.
Why do you say that? Why do you say
Oh,
that?
dude,
Because they got all the fines, right? But they didn't
yeah,
get a bowl ban, so
yeah, they got had to forfeit the whole year.
yeah.
Wow.
But I still think Joe Milton's the truth out at quarterback for Tennessee. So we'll see.
I'm gonna go with
But-
USC, and I'm a West Coast hater, by the way. So I'm gonna go with
yeah, I
USC.
can't stand the West Coast. Isaiah, any thoughts on college football? I know it's not your wheelhouse, but who do you think is a sneaky team, possibly?
Well, the way I've been hearing about this Caleb Williams guy, I've watched some of his games last
You
year.
said Florida State. What did you
Dude.
say?
Florida State. No, I said I've watched
thought
some.
you said Florida State.
No. I said I've seen some of Caleb Williams' games at USC last year, and the way that these analysts are talking about him is he's supposed to be like, I don't know, like the best prospect ever. Like he's supposed to be Mahomes, like is what I've been seeing him compared to. So when I watch his highlights, he kind of like he looks like Mahomes a lot, but I don't know. You see it with basketball now with the Victor Wembanyama guy. People are like overhyping him to like he's going to be better than LeBron was, and I'm looking forward to see what Williams does this year, but also next year when he goes into the NFL. I wonder if you're going to see some teams, I don't know, tank for him. Like obviously NBA, NFL is different, but you see some NBA teams clearly tanking. I wonder if some NFL teams are going to try to do that to get Williams.
Oh yeah, Atlanta Falcons are going to be tanking, and the Titans. All them guys are going to be tanking for Williams. But yeah, he's I don't know. I don't know how to feel about guys like that. Like overhyped. I wouldn't even say overhyped, but like is Caleb Williams going to be Patrick Mahomes? Like I feel like we can't put that on his, on his shoulders right now. I feel like that's too much for
Patrick Mahomes was, according to the pundits, was a system quarterback. That's why he top 5. He was looked at as a system guy, but then Coach Reed gets a hold of him, opens the playbook up and lets him have it.
Right.
And gets him a tight end from the University of Cincinnati that played quarterback. How about that one? We'll find that one out.
Now, Mr. Tim, I'm gonna give some love to your Florida State Seminoles. I think they're gonna be solid this year. I think they have a chance to make the playoff this year. Yeah.
Well, and I wonder why he didn't say that'd be a sneaky team then.
That's true. But I feel like
because they're not.
That's true. That's true.
Well, no, they're not going to be sneaky because they're in.
That's fair.
Fair point.
That man Jordan Travis he's insane. He's insane.
Now, if you'd have asked me, Oliver, so what do you think he's going to be in this year's national championship? I'd have said, but you asked me sneaky, so I had to go to the West Coast.
All right. Well, who's your 4 teams in the playoff this year then?
4 teams in playoffs. I got to put an ACC team in there. Go Noles.
Yeah.
I do like Tennessee too. I don't know how much that's going to hurt them, that trouble they got into, but I do like Tennessee too. Tough conference, of course. I think USC will take the Pac-12. So I don't know. I'm gonna go out there and say USC, Tennessee, Florida State, and gotta throw a Big 12 team in there. Fuck it, I'll go UT. See what happens. Because Oliver, you already know that my NCAA brackets are killers.
Oh God. Darius, your father didn't even submit his bracket in our March Madness pool last time.
Yeah, fuck that one.
I already told you. Make sure the chat doesn't listen to any of his March Madness advice.
I just want to note, I picked the national championship or the national champion, I should say. It was easy. I knew who I was picking going in, and they ended up taking the whole thing. So I just want to put that out there.
That's the win right there. Huh?
I just want to say Thursday at 11 o'clock. That Thursday at 11 o'clock, my bracket was perfect. And then Oliver,
You know,
the fucking weekend hit, and then you know what happened after that.
we can't refute it either because he didn't submit it, so we don't know what he's cooking up back there either.
Those
But
are my 4 teams, and I'm sticking with it.
I think, look, I don't know if Darius, if you have your 4 teams, but and Isaiah,
Darius has no clue.
No clue.
That's
No
true.
clue.
Darius got BYU
think-
and Tulsa in there.
What?
Darius,
Tulsa.
Darius got BYU and Tulsa in the Final Four. No
Oh my
offense
God.
to BYU and Tulsa, please. You got
Hey,
fans.
Pops, I don't know much about it, but I bet if I do a bracket, it still come out better than yours, though. The brackets are so
You're
unpredictable,
probably right.
man.
And so
They're
disrespectful.
He's probably right.
Darius,
I think the
I
best
stuck-
chance of anybody getting a perfect bracket is to honestly just guess.
It's honestly true.
I'm not calling any names out on that one, Oliver.
Hey, look, I went analytics, and analytics won. I almost had half of the Final Four right, so
I'm not
UT
talking
just
about,
had to lose to
I'm
Miami.
talking about somebody else that's a cheater.
Oh, you're talking about my mom.
I didn't say that. Did I say I have much.
She
I have
called
much,
you a
about-
cheater, but you didn't even submit your bracket.
I have much love for
You talking about his mama, dog?
Oh, I would never do that. I have much love for Miss Vicky. You kidding me?
Talking
That's
about-
Oliver's in the hot seat now.
Look, I didn't say anything. I'm just putting the accusations out there made by the other parties in this podcast. Now, look, I got to say my 4 for football this year is probably, I like Tennessee, but I like LSU a lot better. I think LSU's in it this year. I think 2 from the SEC make it, so I think it's going to be LSU, Alabama. I think LSU wins the SEC. I think Alabama gets in sneakily, but it'll be kind of weird because they wouldn't be in the SEC championship. But I think they get in, and I think Michigan's going to be there. I think it'll be LSU, Alabama, Michigan, and then the sneaky team I think is going to be Florida State. I think you got to put the Seminoles in
let
there.
me throw this here at you. So what you're telling me is that LSU is going to go to Orlando, opening game, and beat Florida State.
I forgot that they were playing each other. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's interesting. So
Well, you know
you
what
can't have
happened
2 1
last
losses
year.
in there.
You know what happened last year when they went to Baton Rouge?
Yeah, that's true. Look, I trust Jaden Daniels. That's gonna be the quarterback matchup of that week for sure. That's gonna be an insane quarterback matchup. I don't know if I can't have 2 1 losses in there then. Man, I got to put the
here's
Big
what I
12
think.
in there.
I think for that game there, we should all go to your father's house. Have him buy all the
You're right.
food. Have him buy all the food and drinks because we're all broke.
T-Bone's ribs,
Yeah.
New York strips.
Darius can bring the ring girls. I'm fine with that.
I provide women. He and then Mr. Oliver provides the mansion and the food
And the drink.
Oh my
And
goodness.
it wouldn't
Yeah,
hurt my
I think-
feelings, Oliver, if the son of a bitch had some valet service.
Some what?
I said it, some valet
Some
service.
valet service. Some valet.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Because to get to the house in the
Jesus.
street is a marathon.
Oh my god.
We
That's so
where
funny.
I'm from, in the hood, we call those rich people problems. Let me tell you something, Oliver. I know you know this. I take my trash can 5 feet and it's on the street.
Oh my god. Mr. Tim, you kill me. You kill me, man. Look, I just show up at the house. I don't do much. I just go to school and come home. Look, I'm not gonna lie, whenever I go home it's free food and free beer, so that's all I can ask for. You know what I mean? But I guess I gotta replace Florida State then. No, I'm keeping Florida State in. I think they win the ACC. Man, I don't know who's going to win the Big 12. TCU is going to fall off. They're not even going to make a bowl game. That's my prediction. But I'm also biased because because I'm a Baylor grad.
And you
So
know, TCU's playing the opening game.
oh yeah, Deion Sanders, Colorado. I think they lose that game. That's going to be the upset.
They're playing three-toe Sanders.
Pop, dog. Out of line, dog.
I crossed over.
Yeah, out of line, dog.
I did too much.
Dang.
Oh my god, that's so funny. 3 toes. But yeah, I think, man, that's tough. Man, I can't put Texas in there. I don't trust anyone in the Big 12 this year. Even Baylor, I don't trust them.
You know,
I guess
I'm just throwing schools out there. Fuck it, USC, UT, Tennessee, and Florida State. We'll see what happens.
because I had LSU in, Michigan in, and Florida State in. I'm gonna go ahead and throw. I'm gonna throw Ohio State in there because I think Michigan wins against Ohio State.
Do you think that Jim Khaki Pants Harbaugh can get in?
Oh yeah, he's got it in the past 2 years.
Just want to throw it out there because some bitch only has one pair of pants. It's all khakis.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. He doesn't have any sense of style.
Interview, got the same fucking khakis on. I'm like, yo, come on,
Yeah.
Jimbo.
Good for him though. Sticking
You
to the
see,
bit.
you see the same stain on them, on the
Same
pants.
Yep, same thing. Same one. Come on, Jimbo. You fucking got to make 7 figures out there. Come on, man. Change fucking colors.
Do you think 7 figures, though?
Oh, that's somebody's getting paid.
Oh
Hey,
yeah.
you don't think he's making 8?
Oh, hey, Oliver, real quick. Check out the family dynamics. Theirs has it made. Did you know, were you aware that his mother, and his mama's fine too, brother. His mama's fine. Just want to throw it out there.
Stop it.
Do you know his mama she designs all his outfits?
Really?
Really?
I'm not surprised.
And I'm not fucking done. Guess who picks the walkout songs?
You?
I'm gangster like that. I'm fucking gangster like that.
Dang.
The last fight in San Antonio, Darius picked some boo-boo shit that nobody fucking knew.
What was it, Darius?
It was a little Dirk.
Hey, I gotta respect that.
Like little Dirk.
Nobody knew what that song was. The fuck was
it the one with Morgan Wallen, or was it the one with was it All My Life or whatever?
No. It wasn't like one of the more popular songs. It was Put 'Em on Ice. Don't go.
It didn't help, Oliver, that the sound system kind of sucked.
Crazy. It's crazy. When we first walked into the arena to check it out, before the fight started, before the doors opened, they were testing out the sound system. They put on this Travis Scott song.
Yeah.
They put on, what song was it? Turn the club up. Turn the club up.
Oh, okay,
Oliver,
yeah.
Oliver,
banger, dog. I was like,
Oliver, when I get off this podcast,
walkout song right then and there. I said, that's got to be it. I need that.
Yeah, Oliver, he fucked it all up. Oliver, when I get off this podcast, I'm going to send you his next walkout song.
Hey, but look, but then when I came out, the sound system wasn't playing. I was like, this is not what they were playing earlier. It wasn't jump. What earlier?
I had to. Your sister had to tell me who the fuck Little Dirk was.
Yeah, touch, Pops. You touch.
Yeah, I like Lil Durk. He's pretty good.
Thanks, bro.
I'm going to send you a mystical song.
Oh my god, that's hilarious.
All right.
But there's one last question for you because we got your pops from here. You kind of talked about your family a little bit. So what's it like having that support system? How do you feel like every day, just feeling with that thought in your mind, like, man, I got the biggest support system in the world with my parents and my.
I can't stress how important it is. That's the other people that go without, and it always reminds me how extremely blessed that I am. That I got, right. A lot of people, And like I said, I mean, they're everything to me in sports. So I'm really just happy that I can take them along on this. We can all be on this journey together.
Yeah, that's true.
Facts.
Appreciate that. Well, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up. Thank you so much, Darius, and thank you for popping in last minute, Mr. Tim. We appreciate
Thank you,
it.
guys.
Have a good time.
Appreciate it.
Yes.
We'll holler at you. Peace
All right.
out.
All right.
Peace.
Appreciate y'all. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in. Had a great time tonight. I thought that was one of the better podcasts we've had, man. Jeez.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, sorry about the technical difficulties. I know y'all are going to be listening to this at some point when we get it uploaded. But yeah, we're going to get that figured out. I thought I had it figured out, but then again, I'm a dodo brain sometimes. So, but anyways, thank y'all for tuning in and watching and listening. Hope y'all had a great time. We really appreciate Darius coming on and giving us his perspective and his pops for hopping in and giving us a good time at the end. So I'm assuming we'll see y'all next week. Isaiah, do we have anything planned for next week? I think it's just us next week, huh?
Yeah, we'll figure it out.
Yeah.
Thanks everybody for watching. Appreciate it.
Training camp's coming, or it's already here, but we got football coming back, so I'm excited. But
we got to talk about Mbappe.
Oh yeah, we do.
We got to talk about that next week.
Yeah, we'll talk about that next week when we get into some football as we're getting ready to
and Messi's game
get
winner
back on the gridiron. But
yes.
All right, everyone. Thanks for listening. We'll see y'all next time.
Deuces.